Hey guys, how are we doing? It's Crypto Insight UK here, bringing you back another YouTube video. Thank you to everyone who's been showing me love and support the last few days, especially when I've been a bit ill. I really appreciate all the comments. Let's get straight into this. As always, guys, if you enjoy the video, please hit that like, subscribe, drop a comment. Really helps me out. And it's just nice to interact with you all. I do interact with people mostly over there on Twitter, and I do try and reply to all my comments on YouTube as well. But let's get into what we're going to talk about today. So what we've got to talk about, a slight bit on price action. We're going to keep this video kind of short. We've got a little bit to talk about in regards to XRP and Ripple. In fact, most of the video is going to be about that, and then a few different places that you can use to find different analysis for the markets if you were interested in doing something like that. So this is obviously Bitcoin's price in the daily. We've been in this range now, this very, very tight range for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 days. Just quickly ruler it, make sure we're right. I think in and around 10 days, so 8 or 9 days. So some positives and some negatives, obviously. Let's just quickly refresh. Negatives are we've broken down from the support that we held in June of 2021. We came down to 26,800 on Binance, but if we look on Coinbase, is it Coinbase? Yeah, on Coinbase we came all the way down to 25.4. So that's something to take into consideration, which is the 200-week moving average, which a lot of people say marks the bottom or has in the past. Look here and here. So that's a potential positive. This market is very tricky right now. It's very tricky. We've got big macros basically saying that the Fed are going to tighten more. Equities probably can come down further. Treasury bonds are still, yields are still increasing. Look, this is a 10-year treasuries. If we look at it on the weekly, this is where you can see what people are talking about. Look, they're breaking up. They are creating a double top here. Let's see what happens there. So definitely to keep our eye on. But they're things that are negative, okay? Low liquidity in markets. People aren't looking to asset allocate. Inflation's high. People aren't looking to spend money. They need the money for essentials. Retail haven't got a surplus of income to put into the crypto market. So there's all these different things. So they're negatives. We all know about those. Everyone's screaming for negativity here. Positives. This volume is as big as what we saw back in the summer. It's higher than what we saw in this drop here. It's as big as what we saw back in our first capitulation, and that marked the bottom when we had volume like this. Definitely something to take into consideration. One thing I would like to point out is today the fear and greed index is at 12. Yesterday was at 8. Why is that? That, in my opinion, is because of the DXY. So the DXY has lost a bit of strength recently. We're actually now below that 20-year resistance level. We're now down to 103,510. We're going to look on the hourly, and there potentially could be some topping signals here for the DXY. If we look what's happened, we've been in this steady uptrend, and yes, we did have a bearish cross here on the hourly back on the 29th of March, but now for all of April and May so far, we've been bullish, meaning the 50-day has been above the 200-day on the hourly. And the last time we saw a bearish cross was here on the 29th of March. So we've actually got one. We've got a bearish cross here today. We've had the bearish cross 17th of March, so technically yesterday. Last time we had the bearish cross, we actually broke straight back through the moving averages on the hourly, kept respecting them, bounced up higher, higher, higher. Now let's have a look what's going on here. We've had that push back up towards the moving averages, and it looks to have rejected it so far. So the next 2 days are very important for DXY. Could we see some kind of retracement coming for the DXY? Could it be a top, or maybe just a bit of a cool off period, as it has been absolutely ripping? If we look at the DXY on the daily, it's been absolutely going parabolic. Let's see what happens when it tests the 50-day moving average on the daily, as it seems to have used that as support previously. So if we come down to, let's say, the daily moving average will catch up pretty quick, I'd have thought, probably somewhere around there. So we're probably looking in and around the like 102,278. So we've still got a little bit of a drop before we can reach that sort of level. From here, we're looking at about still a 2% drop, and we only lose, well, today we're gaining 0.24%. I think yesterday we lost, let's have a look. Yesterday was a big depreciation on the DXY in terms of normal depreciation. We lost 0.86, so it would be about, if we lost that on 3 consecutive days, it would be probably 3 or 4 days. So we're looking at about a week before we know what we're going to do in terms of interacting with this daily moving average, 50-day moving average. That's just something I want you guys to keep your eye on. In regards to XRP, there's not really a lot to talk about, guys. As I've been saying to you, what I'm personally doing is prepping myself for a leg down with cash on the side and buy orders. My buy orders are in at 35 cent, 32 cent now, 30 cent, 28 cent and 26 cent currently. Do I think they'll get filled? Honestly, I don't know. I think there's a lot of different arguments in the market right now, but I'm preparing for the possibility they may. I also think that it's just as likely, because everyone's expecting we go lower. It's almost ingrained into everybody now that we're going lower. It's just as likely that we do start to push out of this range. And I think this is an interesting pattern. We've basically just treaded really like sideways at the tightest consolidation I've seen in a long while. A 9% swing from the upside to the downside, basically for the last, well, since the 12th of May, the last 6 days, we've just crabbed within a 9% range, which is pretty mad. If you look at crypto, it doesn't really do that. Look, we've had this long downtrend, big volume comes in, and then we go sideways, which is a bit interesting for me. So here we're going up, we have a bit of a reversal candle here, boom, and then we start to come down, we have some reversal volume come in, and then we crab sideways. So what's the next move? We don't know that yet. The 200-day will come down at some point and meet the 50-day here. As the price stays at this level, at some point the 200-day will come below or come close, and then we'll have to see what decision is made from the charts. Same with Bitcoin. Look, the hourly is stuck between the 50-day, the 200-day, and that strong support from 28,700. So now we'll get on some of the news I wanted to talk about. We've looked at in the charts a little bit. The first thing I wanted to touch on was this. The UK inflation reaches 9%, the highest it's seen in 40 years, meaning you've lost 9% purchasing power year over year. So if you've got a salary basically worth 9% less than it was last year, which is insanity in my opinion. And we've got a great little thread here from Leonidas. We're going to listen to some of these videos. He's talking with James Wallace, and Anthony Welfare and James Wallace are talking to Manuel Klein, and it's just interesting what they're saying, and Leonidas has clipped it up basically. So let's listen to a few of these things and discuss it. We've got about 4 or 5 minutes worth of listening, and we're going to discuss each different section, but they're very important if you are an XRP holder, in my opinion. So let's get into it.
An agenda around digitizing the country more, financial inclusion, building up the technology skills in country. So it's an ideal one of our early partners, and what is one of the ones we've been able to announce externally of those that we're working on. The scope actually is there's 3.
So the first thing I want to highlight there, he says, it's one of the ones we've been allowed to announce externally that we're working on. Another hint that they're working with more than just Bhutan, which obviously we speculate that they are anyway, but another hint there.
3 elements to the scope. So there is wholesale. So we were already working with 2 of the commercial banks and the central bank on distribution of CBDC from central bank to commercial bank, and then looking at interbank settlement. So wholesale is part of it. Retail is part of it, and that is, as you rightly said, distribution of the CBDC to the individual citizens. Many different use cases. I mean, an alternative to cash is one, obviously, that's well understood and widely used. And then the third element actually is cross-border. Bhutan as a country, they have.
This part is very important.
Their own currency, the Ngultrum. It's pegged to the Indian currency, but they don't. They have a challenge with remittances. So people sending money into the country, being able to do that cost effectively. So what we're actually doing is looking at how we can leverage CBDC as part of that cross-border solution as well. So from our point of view, it's like this amazing project where we've got all three elements: wholesale, retail, and cross-border into one small country, where we believe that when we get into the full rollout stage, there'll be some real benefit to the people of Bhutan.
And the great thing, I think.
So let's go on to the next little clip here. We've already seen some absolute gems from that first clip.
Banks, what they're looking for is a platform that will enable them to issue a digital currency, so in Europe a digital euro, to manage the distribution of that, to manage the onboarding of banks, and figure out the use cases that the banks will provide to the citizens in terms of retail CBDC. There's a high interest in blockchain technology because of the distributed nature, and because once you establish a platform, you can then add new interesting use cases on top. So
that is interesting. Once you establish a platform, you can add new interesting use cases on top. So he's basically saying, start using the XRP ledger and we can introduce you into some other things if you create your CBDC onto this.
What we've built actually is we've built a private ledger, a CBDC ledger, which is essentially using the same tech as XRP ledger, but in a private instance that's managed by the central bank and other entities within their ecosystem that they're comfortable being validators. So it could be the commercial banks. And then we built a layer of software called what we call a CBDC manager, which is an easy interface to basically to manage the ledger. And that's a full life cycle. That includes onboarding banks, the process of minting or creating the tokens, distribution of the tokens, transacting with the tokens, and then, if appropriate, destroying the tokens. So the central bank really has full control over the supply and
when he's talking about the tokens there, he's obviously talking about the CBDC tokens that they will create to create a CBDC, not obviously XRP. It's not possible to destroy XRP tokens that are in existence unless you physically burn them from your own wallet. Like, no central entity has the power to do that. That's why he's saying that they have a central bank managing system for that specific region, for that part of the ledger.
Supply of tokens in circulation. So, as a long answer to your question, but hopefully that gives you some sense that we were bringing this technology to market. And also, I believe what we bring is our sort of 9 years experience in global payments industry. So we are a company that does things, we build things, then we roll them out. So we're not a research institution. We're not doing proof of concepts. We're really doing pilots as a step one to production. That's really where we're focusing, and we want to bring that vast experience we've got on global payments and crypto into the world of CBDCs.
So that's another important point, in my opinion. He's stressing the fact that they're not a research company. They're not doing proof of concept anymore. They're doing pilots, and they're going to roll out soon, is what I'm taking from this. And the last little clip here.
Dollar, whatever the market is, right? We're using the same technology that is with the XRP ledger. The token would be the CBDC, right? So the central bank would actually create their own token, a digital euro, digital dollar, whatever the market is, and that becomes the digital asset
as the native coin.
The native coin, yeah. Now, where XRP could come into play potentially is when you're looking at cross-border CBDC. So when you have a digital dollar and you have a digital, real, or digital pound, you obviously need to have some way to interact cross-border. Yeah. So I think the BIS call this a multi-CBDC model. One of the ideas is you use a sort of a neutral bridge currency to go from one to the other, similar to the model I explained earlier, with our on-demand liquidity. But the core offering really is not XRP. There's no XRP involved. It's the native token is the CBDC.
That's interesting.
So this is everything we've been talking about, guys, is that everything that gets built on the ledger, more volume that comes, the only way that they can really interact with each other through a neutral bridge asset is XRP. And this is why, in my opinion, I'm heavily stacked on XRP, because I think that something like this is going to happen, but it's just my own personal opinion. Always do your own research, guys. And we're going to just look at Wrath Economan, who's summed up this thread very well. I just wanted to bring it to you guys' attention. And for you guys who don't know, just quickly before we get into this, this is actually quite hard knowledge to find, but it is there on the internet if you want to dig it up, is that one of the ways that Ripple did want to initially launch XRP was to go to India and airdrop XRP to every Indian person and let them just interact with it and use it as an asset however they like. And so I find this very interesting that this has ties with India now, okay? So we're going to get into this now. Opinion. Ripple's CBDC work in Bhutan has major implications for India. Why? Here's a brief. The James Wallace, VP for Central Bank Engagements, has been clear that Bhutan's CBDC project has three components: wholesale, retail, and cross-border remittances. And then that's the clip we just listened to. Bhutan's currency, the Nuglutrum, I'm sorry, I'm really bad at English like that, is pegged at par with the Indian rupee. Many just call them Nuglutrum rupees because of this, their close ties with Indian rupees themselves have been accepted throughout the country. 3. 97% of imports, 74% of exports are with India. With the creation of CBDCs, now all of this commerce is walled off behind a digital currency. What happens to rupees that flow into Bhutan on a daily basis? What is outlined there, the cross-border function that the Bhutanese CBDC, noting XRP, could be used as a bridge currency. Clearly, this implicates India. Could 97% of that trade with India end up on the XRP ledger, or the XRP ledger? That alone would be great, but remember, Ripple has some deep engagements with India as well, particularly with National Payments, the National Payments Corporation of India. Already a number of Indian banks utilize Ripple, not ODL, for inward remittances, including Axis, Kotak, Indusland, Yes Bank, Federal Bank, HDFC, integrators like Tata Consultancy and FSS. So either we see a robust transnational flow between the two countries, or even more titillating, is that the word, and speculative, India is aware and has some sort of integration plan in the works themselves. TLDR, Bhutan's CBDC with Ripple is an amazing project with great possibilities for XRP as a bridge currency. But why may that be even more important is the implied connections with India, with whom Ripple has been engaging. I think that's very, very interesting thread there from Wrath Economan. And I retweeted it because I think that it's very important to not necessarily put your eggs on that in that basket, but to at least consider. Another thing I just wanted to point out to you guys is that Balmain, the clothing company, have partnered up with Mint.com or at Mint NFT Official to release some NFTs on the XRP ledger, and you can get some free Balmain thread if you scan this QR code. I've done it, but I didn't get my thread, or maybe I've done something wrong, I don't know, but I think that's pretty cool. They're a huge fashion brand. If they release their NFTs on the XRP ledger, it could be big. And the last two things I want to leave you with are these thoughts. So this is Credible Crypto. He says, looking forward to being bearish AF after this wave up to 100k that I'm expecting completes. Seeing the way sentiment is now during a mid-cycle correction means the correction that corrects the entire bull market, the bull cycle from 3k to 100k, is going to be absolutely brutal. So basically he's saying, and if you look through his, this is another interesting tweet. The argument for 13 to 14,000 Bitcoin on the premise that major bear markets have led to an 80% decline from the top is a major assumption that 65k was the cycle top. It's the same assumption that made 30k in June 21 before we rallied to all-time high 3 months later. So he's saying that he doesn't believe that the top that we've had, 69k, is the top, 65k is the top. Just want to leave you with that thought, guys, because I feel like it's pretty much taken as a given that 69k was the top now because of where we are. As he's saying, 80 to 85, 95% retracements often happen from the top for Bitcoin. At the minute, we're at a 50, 55%. So is this the bottom? I don't know. is that the top? I don't know. I'm just saying, just open your mind a little bit, because people are really getting smashed down in the narrative, and we've seen fear and greed at its lowest ever. Just something to take into consideration. And finally, if you want to have a look at some places to find different things, so you can find order books and order flows on Trading Light, XOCharts, AGGR, and have a look at these. You can just pause this video now if you want to find derivative liquidity, on-chain analysis, charting, or macros. So there you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was informative for you. I'm pretty sure there's some information there that's like massively underestimated. I think that the Bhutan stuff is going to be big. I've already pointed this out before. I think that if we have a government-backed stablecoin, the possibilities are endless. Any sort of interaction with India's got to be good. They've got a massive population and they're a growing economy. Let's see what happens, guys. I'm not bearish. Do I think we'll go lower? Short, medium term? Maybe. I think there's definitely macro environments pointing towards that. Do I think that this market often catches people off guard? Definitely. So I'm preparing for both, and I know that's crap to hear. Like, you want to be told, oh, this is what's going to happen. Nobody knows. Anyone who says they know doesn't. They're guessing, and if they get it right, then they look clever, but no one knows. I can tell you that right now. No one knows, especially in crypto. But I hope you enjoyed the video. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna end it there. If you did, please leave a comment in the comment section and share it with a friend. Peace up, A-Town down, as Usher would say. Thank you for listening.